Hello and welcome to another edition of In Focus. I'm Eric Hesseldahl, head of SAP News, and today we're talking people, we're talking culture, we're talking workplace. I'm here with Aaron Green, Chief Marketing and Solutions Officer for SAP SuccessFactors, and great to see you today, Aaron. Thanks for joining us.
Great to see you too, Eric. Thanks for having me.
So I see it all over the news. Human experience management is a really big topic. People are going back to work. People are talking about the future of the workplace. People are talking about hybrid work environments and things like that. So, what are some of our competitive advantages when stacking up against some of the competitive set that we have?
In a post-pandemic world right now, organizations are really grappling with how they not just retain people, but also how they attract people into an organization. And we see this in different ways, whether it's through inflation rates rising globally and organizations needing to keep pace with how they pay people and how they pay people to retain them as well. But equally, there's a big skills gap crisis that's going on right now. And so what organizations are talking about is not just how they skill their people, but also how they reskill their people to build that resiliency and that redundancy into the workforce. And that's really where SAP SuccessFactors plays a huge role in helping organizations understand what skills they have, what skills they need, and how to close that skill and that experience gap for themselves.
I also think we have an advantage on the global side too. I mean, a lot of our competitive set tend to focus primarily on one geo versus another, whereas I think with SAP SuccessFactors, we have a much more global footprint. Is that correct?
It absolutely is. So we're really privileged to have over 9,000 organizations spread across the world in all industries. And in order to serve those organizations, that means we have to have that deep localization, that deep understanding of how to operate and how a business needs to operate or an organization needs to operate in that global and a very local context.
I also hear a new phrase these days lately. We talk a lot about sustainability, but that goes a little further into something I'm now hearing. At least to me, it's a new phrase: people sustainability. What is it? Why is it important to business leaders today?
So, according to the UN, in their overall sustainability goals, the UN surveyed thousands of organizations, and less than 0.2% of organizations around the world are actually meeting all 17 principles of sustainability, of which people sustainability is one of those topics. And that can be anything from fair wage or wage transparency, all the way through to making sure that you're removing bias from things like the hiring process, making sure that you have pay equity amongst your workforce.
So, talking about some of this global footprint again, got me thinking that you spent a lot of time in Asia. I'm wondering how that informs your experience at SAP SuccessFactors.
I would say it's probably one of the proudest moments of my career. I spent the last 10 years living and working across Asia Pacific. And one of the things that is so unique about Asia is not just the geographic diversity, but truly the cultural diversity as well. And with that cultural diversity comes different challenges in how you really run an organization and get the best out of your people and also make them feel included. I'm really proud that as a leadership team in Asia Pacific and Japan, over 46% of the workforce are female. Now, just for comparison's sake, 26% is the average amount of female talent in tech organizations globally. So we're at 46% in APJ. And 27% of our workforce is under the age of 35. So that's really not just a reflection of the inclusive nature and inclusivity of Asia Pacific, but it's also really the way in which we as a leadership team focused on making sure that our workforce reflects the communities that we operate in and the communities that we serve.
So, what are you doing specifically within SAP SuccessFactors focusing on the culture, and how does that reflect in what customers are acting as they focus on their culture?
So we are so super committed at SAP SuccessFactors to building and maintaining a really diverse and inclusive workforce, and that's something that I and my other leaders of the SAP SuccessFactors business are really focused on. But that's also what we've put into our product: is the capability for organizations to change work for good, to truly help bring in the most inclusive workforce, the best kinds of employee and leader experiences, and to equip and enable people and culture leaders to really serve the business in a way that shapes an organization going into the future.
I've also heard a little bit about at SAP SuccessFactors and this concept of the whole self model is another new phrase to me. What is that? What does that mean? What does it mean for your organization? And does it mean anything for the customers?
It absolutely does mean things for the customer. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but another way of thinking about this is, what are people passionate about? What's their purpose? And being able to not just capture that data, but from an organizational level, use that data to understand how to construct the best running teams. Imagine once somebody's in a role, being able to say, we need to spin up a new R&D division, or we need to spin up a new sales team. What are the attributes of people? What are the psychological attributes, the purposeful attributes of people that make up a high performing team, and actually being able to identify those people inside your current workforce and bring that forward. That's the whole self model.
So let me ask you this. What's next for SAP SuccessFactors? What are you focused on for the rest of the year?
So for the rest of the year, we're really focused on our learning suite as well as our overall talent management suite, because we know this is the thing that helps organizations differentiate themselves from a talent competitiveness perspective.
Very good. Sounds very exciting. Well, we're glad to have caught up with you, Aaron, and thanks for joining us on In Focus.
But thanks for having me, Eric. Great to talk to you.